I was just watching a video about China where they said that China, from a very poor agrarian society, has been rising considerably over the last 50, 60 years and has become a behemoth, a giant. The sleeping giant, as we always said in the West, you know. So anyway, it's true. We have big nations that can, and empires that can surge and arise. And most of the time it has been done by means of war. But this time China did it from the ground up without firing a shot. It just worked. But remember, even in force, there is no way nowadays that an empire can conquer. They can invade and conquer, but they cannot retain a people. Same with Afghanistan, it happened, you know, many empires couldn't hold the ground long enough, forever. At one point they had to go, okay, we've done what we came to do, save face a little bit and go. And the same with Ukraine. You can conquer Ukraine, Vladimir, but you will not be able to hold on to that people. They will never belong to you, and they will always strive for their freedom, and eventually they will reconquer their freedom, one way or another. Doesn't have to be by means of arms or whatever, because an ideology or an identity, even of small communities, cannot be repressed because it's something it's a root movement. It surges upwards. Inside of China, you have so many. Inside of Russia, you have so many nations, or nationalities, or cultures and languages, and microeconomies, and even legal systems that are native. You know, like in Ecuador, which is a very small country. We have some of the Aboriginal people in the Amazon that have their own laws, that apply their own laws according to their own ancestral beliefs, and they're allowed to do that. And also in the mountains, in the Andes, indigenous people, because that's their culture. So what I mean is that we're building up all our arsenals, and now we're thinking about all those resources that have to be going into all of this. And then we're going to have this big, huge clash. It may be a lot of proxy wars, and then it can be regional wars, and then it can be the final clashes, whatever. And we're all going to be suffering and exhausted and weakened. In the face of the underdeveloped countries, we will stand totally vulnerable, because we will have expended everything once again in a completely useless way. Because even if China becomes a behemoth, but there's a given moment where it will reach other spaces, like let's say that you have a box, and you put more balls into that box, objects, and you can fit them in there and then close the lid. But there's a given point where you're going to put them in there, and there's not enough space, there are other objects. You can crush and compress and rearrange a little bit, but eventually the other objects are not going to disappear. They're always going to be there. So there's only so much space you can occupy in virtue of who you are. But that's enough. Why is it enough? Because you can always develop further inside of your own territory, inside of your own culture, inside of your own economy, inside of your own beliefs, inside of... You know what I mean? If you can't conquer outwards, conquer inwards. If you don't have space in a room to hang a huge piece of art that's going to be 20 meters by 60 meters, a huge mural, you just don't have the wall to put it up. Actually, you have nothing. You live in a tent. Then make something that's really small but beautiful. There are artists that make sculptures on the tip of a pencil in graphite. Cost a fortune. You can also make art in your heart. You can also create wealth and richness in your heart and in your mind and in your community. And hold out your hand and stretch out your hand and say, hey, it's okay. I'm here. We're good. Are we good? Yeah, we're good. So, these huge world powers sending missiles and drones, and now they're talking about, there's a new type of war that we're going to do now by infiltration and drones and special, whatever forces. Are we stupid or what? It's just a question. Because it's 180 degrees in the opposite direction that we have to move to win the war, to win the peace. And part of that may also be going like, well, maybe I don't want that much. Maybe what I have is enough. It's also myopic. I mean, we don't understand other nations, other cultures, other people. We think like, manifest destiny, whatever. The Caucasian wild white culture has that sort of idea that really comes from the amazing feats of conquest of the British Empire, believing like we are taking civilization to every corner of the world. But that's not quite true anymore. Like, I wouldn't want to live in the States right now, seeing everything that's happening, even in Europe. It's not like a good thing. I mean, people are, even in Japan, for example, whatever, amazing countries, but people are committing suicide. The Kikumori are hiding away in their little apartments all by themselves. They're depressed, they're hurting inside. Because all that city life is not really doing anything for you. It demands everything from you to build it up, and then you have to comply with all those regulations and lifestyles, and this is just a way to be successful, and this is what you're going to do if you're going to have fun, and it's all stuff they sell to you. But if you go to the countryside, to a little farm, and you hike out to a pond, and you sit there in a tent, and you go walking along small little trails, there really shouldn't be anyone telling you what to do if you have to walk on the left side or the right side of your life, of your life, of the trail. So all that stuff by living in civilization means that civilization tells you who you are, defines you. And that's why people can't find happiness, because the one that is to define the universe and life and earth and ourselves is us. Each and every one of us. And someone comes and says, okay, and that, you see that person, that's the King of Belgium. His name is Philippe. That looks like a really nice man, and I'm probably very, very sophisticated and very well versed and prepared, and he has a very important job, and he has my name, Philippe. But it doesn't mean anything to me. Or King Charles. Once again, not subtracting of their value as persons, but there's a little publication where he says that King Charles, has 1,000 properties that he owns. How can one single person own 1,000 properties? How can one real estate company concentrate in its ownership so many 32% of the real estate in the United States is owned by 4 or 5 big real estate companies or something like that? Just it makes no sense. So he said, you have to have smaller companies then. So, but the same people are going to be the investors in those 55 small companies. No. It cannot be that one single person concentrates that much patrimony bestow that on himself. Not because we have envy, because it doesn't mean anything if a guy stands there in front of me and he has $5,000 billion, $5 trillion, or 50, or 500, or 5,000 trillion dollars. We're going to sit down and we're going to have a cup of coffee and I don't know what, and that's it. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. He's going to tell me, you know what, Felipe, last year I won the lottery now, and I have won, and now I am the owner of Andromeda. I own Andromeda. It's my real estate. That whole constellation is owned by me. And okay, he's a rich guy, You know what? I wouldn't mind having a cup of coffee with you. Maybe I can get some help out of you. I need a little bit of help. $3.6 million to start a cultural center here in the Galapagos for the local community, not for me. And so anyway, he is going to be the owner, but I'm going to say, listen, would you like a cup of coffee? He's going, yeah. And after a while I said, would you like a piece of cake with ice cream? Yeah, sure. Would you like a cognac? Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. So would you like another cup of coffee? He goes like, you know what? I'm good. I'm fine. Thank you. So how is he going to build houses and then live in these houses on such a great expanse of real estate? He can't. Besides the fact that he's immortal, someday he will die anyway, so he can't hold on to it. So you can only sit in one chair, and you can only sit at one table, and you can only sleep in one bed and use one bathroom. And you can only put on one shirt at a time, or maybe two or three, but combine them. But, sometimes you see these celebrity meetings and they have the Pomeroy, whatever design sort of suits on and designer dresses and everything. But if you go to a nice shop in the States where they have these ready to off the rack, and you buy yourself a nice blazer and a nice pair of pants, and you want to have a tie and a normal watch. Normal watch, what, $400 or $500. You can buy a nice outfit, I don't know what, for $5,000. Really nice. Isn't that enough? You look as good. You don't have to have a, $50,000 dress, for example. It's ridiculous. Because it reflects upon you how silly this is and how nearsighted you are by spending your money in something like that, instead of investing your money in other things that have a deeper underlying effect on the planet and the community. I'm not talking that you have to give away your money, but a wiser way. And not because the poor have to envy the rich and the rich should feel guilty because they're rich. No! It's okay. I really like him. I don't care what they say. He makes his mistakes. He's not the smartest cookie around. No, he's not. He may be very intelligent, but he's not always per se smart or wise yet. He's young and dumb, as we say, which is good. If you're young, you have to be like that. But the question is it sustainable? All of this. Is it sustainable? That's for each and only one, each of us to decide. Because I cannot be the judge of anything, and I'm not the prosecutor of anything, and I am not the one who carries here the flame of truth. No, I'm just thinking about these things for myself and sharing them, because just maybe this kind of talk, maybe it can touch a fiber. So this doesn't go for you. This also goes for you and you, and you and you and you. No, this goes for Donald and for Vladimir and for Netanyahu. I don't know his name. And I'm using first names because to connect more like on a personal level, to say, listen, I mean, we're all just, and for Philippe and for from France and from England and Germany and Japan and China. And I think Xiping, whatever, Chipling, he's really good man, very wise man, I think. He's very wise. Chinese wisdom, Confucius, Zen, Buddhism. I mean, you can feel that there's something there. They're not a perfect people either. And they're also growing and learning, But we can all understand that, the concept of sustainability. And now what happens is that you have the people who have big industry and they are, for example, polluting more. So now they go out to the poor countries which have no industry and they buy oxygen, fresh air, quotas that they've created out of their hat. And they said, well, you don't pollute, so because you have a positive, we will pay you so much we can use your quota because we are polluting. How stupid is that? And then, of course, people in the governments and in the system, they allow that so that the industrial world can continue to pollute. Say, yeah, but we're paying our dues. No. Stop being so childish. You're like little children. All these big companies and these big corporations and all these extremely smart people. You are not smart. You are a Dummkopf, as they say in German. You are not smart at all. To be smart is to know how to build happiness. Real, true happiness. So nothing of what you do is permanent. And nothing will give you neither control, neither security, neither guarantees of absolutely anything. Because control is the greatest illusion that we have in this world.